As always, guys, we are brought to you by BUSR Sportsbook. Bet on everything from horse racing to the NFL. Visit BUSR.com/going-for-2 to sign up, get a welcome bonus, and bet on this weekend's NFL games, as well as the Breeders' Cup this weekend. I'm not a horse racing guy, but I hear that's kind of a big deal. So definitely go to BUSR.com/going-for-2. We got a great show tonight, guys. We're talking DFS Week 9. It's a pretty interesting slate. And we're going to go ahead and jump right into it.
Fantasy football, you dealing with the best. Keep it hype, authentic, this ain't nothing like the rest. With the Armchair Fantasy Show podcast, give advice for all the listeners to improve your stats. Yeah, we live on goingfor2.com. Tuesdays and Fridays, this is what you want. Talking dynasties and daily drafts, and we just getting started, that ain't even the half. Yeah, so go ahead, tell your friends to join. Going for 2, cause no one remembers the extra point. Hey, goingfor2.com, the Armchair Fantasy Show.
What is going on, guys? All right, welcome to episode 179 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, Geoff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at GeoffLambert77. We are live here every Wednesday and Friday nights on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch. Syndicated in all major podcast networks and streaming in the Going for 2 app for iOS and Android. I'm here with my two co-hosts tonight, Tim and Gerson. What's up, Gerson?
What up, what up, what up? And by the way, Geoff, if you would make a great jockey for those horse racing.
Yeah. I don't think 6'3" is a really good jockey.
That's true.
You missed the boat on that one.
Yeah, definitely. Tim, man, how's it going?
I'm doing good, man. We're coming off a Packers victory over your 49ers on Thursday Night Football. I don't know if you could really call them your 49ers.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it really that 40?
But, I'll take a win nonetheless. They all count the same in the standings.
Yeah, I think it was a bit unfair that we started our fourth preseason game lineup and you started your starters. That was a bit unfair there.
Yeah, it did happen.
All right.
But, they performed as they should. That was important.
Yeah, I was, I said that before the game too. I was like, if we can hang with the Packers, then I think it's a win for us. And we couldn't hang with y'all, so it was definitely not pretty to watch.
You know what they say, right?
What's that?
Revenge is Revenge is best
served. The best dish served cold.
You gave it to them in the playoff. Well, Tim, Green Bay Packer, gave it back to you guys in the regular.
Yeah, but I'm sure Tim would love to switch that around for sure. I'm sure he a regular season victory is not going to be anywhere near what we did to him last year. Real quick, guys, before we get to the weekly rewind, I wanted to plug our DFS contest. So some of y'all may or may not know, last year around this time, actually in September, I missed the opening day show because my brother-in-law actually relapsed on heroin, and I was not able to make it to the show that day. And unfortunately, a few months later, he passed away. He was battling it for his entire life. He had been clean for 14 years, and it's a tragic thing. And we're coming up on his 1-year anniversary. I think is next Sunday of his death. So we're actually be running a contest, a charity contest for DraftKings. If you go to goingfor2.com/fight, it's a fight against addiction. You can go on there. It's free to join. We're giving away a trophy to the winner. We are taking donations. They're optional. There's a link there in the website that you can go to my GoFundMe page. Anything from $5, on up, guys. It doesn't matter. Anything you can give. It's a great contest. We have some fun with it, but also raise some money. We're already up, I think, to $450. My goal is $500, so we're well on our way to beating our goal for sure. Again, that link is goingfor2.com/fight. All right, let's get to the rewind.
The weekly rewind. Rewind.
All right, Gerson, I'm going to start with you because you have a rant that you need to get off your chest here about a certain player from last week. So let's hear it.
His name is Mjj. This guy's a piece of shit. He sucks. Overrated. The most overpaid quarterback in the history. Well, no, not in the history of the NFL because that belonged to my overrated quarterback, Jamarcus Russell. But anyways, just shit, man. This guy goes out there, hurt his ankle. Cool, whatever. You got injured, but I would have been like, okay, he hurt his ankle. If he would have gotten hurt the first game. No, he just sucked the whole freaking game, man. Like, he was like, just wasn't. I don't know, man. Like, when you have weapons like Kittle, at least hit him. But it's the Seattle Seahawks. Their defense is horrible. But Mjj, I've said it for years. Now keep saying it every year until you're out of that freaking system. You're overrated. You are Bill. And by the way, Bill Belichick, you're overrated too. I don't care if you want to sit Super Bowl.
Shit.
But
Okay.
Tom Brady made you, okay? Get over it. But Mjj, you're a piece of crap. I hate you. All right, I'm done.
All right. And Gerson, remind them, what did I tell you to do with Mjj last week?
You said to play him. You said start him in every single one of your roster, G.
I said don't play Mjj.
You said, G, if you don't start him, you're gonna
When I saw that RG had him as the highest ownership quarterback, I was like, there's no way in hell. It's not going to happen. I'm not touching him. I don't care who he's playing. It's not going to happen. Tim, man, how'd your week go last week?
I had a pretty good week. I had a good cash game score. It was helped out a lot by the Dolphins defense. I hope everybody played that last week. And then I also picked up another win in the arena against Jared. He had Dalvin Cook, who tried to carry him to victory, but this time my team was enough to get the win. So happy to get back, get a couple dubs last week.
Nice. He had Dalvin Cook and you still won. Like, how bad was the rest of that team?
Yeah, well, he did get the goose egg from Nelson Aguilar, so that definitely helped me.
Yeah, people are mentioning in the chat there about the Dolphins defense. You know, we had that call last week, and I think I had him in 8 of 10 of my lineups, so I did pretty well. I had him in my cash lineup as well, so that pretty much carried me because some of the chalk that I played didn't do very well. But when you got the Miami Dolphins, I had Keenan Allen in my cash lineup. They pretty much carried me to victory there, so I was able to cash and have a pretty good week 8.
Yeah, I fell asleep like after like halfway through the morning game. And I was like, I'm going to go take a nap. Because I wake up like at 5 a.m. on Sunday, guys. And I'm like, all right, whatever, you know. And then I kind of I have like my power sweep teams with $150 3-team entrance. And then I have my 150 rosters and whatnot. And I got higher and higher on Dalvin Cook because every single time I kept looking at him, he was under-owned. He was a top running back. He was underpriced in a great matchup. And I felt like crap because I didn't even mention him on the show last week. And I liked him all week. And
We mentioned him. We mentioned him, Gerson. I think you mentioned him. One of us did.
Yeah. I don't know if I did or not. But, but, like, I woke up. Next thing I know, all my winnings, like, all the way up there. I'm like, what? Who did? And then I see next thing my brother goes, oh, there goes Dalvin Cook again. Touchdown. Oh, what do you know? Dalvin Cook. And I'm like, I just keep getting alert. But, like, I'm taking a nap, man. Like, leave me alone for a second. I know it's kind of weird to take a nap during football. But I like to watch the game. But sometimes I'm tired, man.
Yeah, it happens.
But then the Dolphins defense came through, and I was like, holy smoke, we got something cooking here, you know? I did good. I had a good week, but not a lot of stacks went off, so I kind of just broke even.
Yeah.
I mean, even though the team was great, but if I would have I made a really dumb decision. I played the Kansas City, for some reason, Lamar Jackson stack, and I switched that out of my power sweep team from the Mahomes stack.
Oh.
And to give you an idea, I know I say this every week or so, but one week I hope we come back and celebrate. But if I would have had that Kansas City team, I would have taken down the power sweep team. And I can do that because I go back and look at my lineup, rewind on optimizer that I have. And it happens, you know, but we're here. We're here. We got to keep moving, you know. We got to keep going.
Yes, sir. It's a grind.
We're on to week 9.
Yep, it's a grind for sure. All right, let's get to these quarterbacks.
Let's talk quarterbacks.
All right, Gerson, we're going to go to you, and of course your elite guy is Jimmy G, right? First guy off the board there, even if he's hurt.
I'm going to freaking go home. I'm going to log off. No, I actually didn't highlight my quarterback. I'm sorry about that. But my number one guy is Deshaun Watson. I think I've been talking about this guy almost every single time he's on the slate. I love Deshaun Watson. Ever since he got out of Bill O'Brien, they were averaging like under 18, about around 18 points. Now they're averaging almost like 24 points plus. And Deshaun Watson's just incredible. We've seen what he can do with good weapons and whatnot with Will Fuller and Brandon Cook. They're just now clicking. They're clicking. And when he's cooking, he tends to just, they're not going to run the ball with David Johnson. David Johnson's not a thing. Like, he sucks. He's a value on this week, but I'm not going to have too much of him. But Deshaun Watson facing Jacksonville Jaguars, they ranked 32nd DVOA, dead last against the quarterback, 7,100. His ownership is actually coming up really high. He's the second highest owned quarterback at 13%. And while 13% doesn't seem like a large number, that is a freaking large number in at the quarterback position. But I definitely love him in this matchup. I have a lot of him.
Yeah, just to go on how much the ownership actually is, at least I'm looking at RG right now, Roto Grinders, and they got Deshaun Watson at 12%. The next highest quarterback is Justin Herbert at 8.5. So that tells you how much of the disparity it is between number 1 and number 2. Tim, who do you got for your elite quarterback?
Yeah, I love Watson with this week, but as soon as I looked at this slate, the first thing I thought to myself was, I can't wait for Seahawks and Bills. And it's weird to say I'm excited about a Bills game, but it's a different team this year, and I really, I think Josh Allen has a real chance to light it up this week. So I like both of these quarterbacks, but I'm gonna go ahead and take a stand this week on Josh Allen. He's the quarterback that you want to play. One reason is that you want to attack, as he just mentioned, they are Jacksonville is 32nd DVOA, but we all know that Seahawks give up more yards, to quarterbacks and wide receivers than any other team in the league, and so and they actually have a decent run defense. So they're an obvious run funnel. You get Josh Allen. They're predicted to lose this game, but it's going to be tight, so they're going to be throwing the whole time. And he also gives you that rushing floor when he gets down near the goal line. He loves to run it in. So I could easily see this being a 30-point game, 30-plus point game for Josh Allen. And I think there's a real good chance that he's in the Millie Maker winner this week.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Point.
I like it. I like it. So I'm going to take the third sort of chalky quarterback here at the elite, Mr. Russell Wilson, on the opposite side of that game against Buffalo. Bills defense is 22nd ranked DVOA against the pass. This game has the highest total on the slate, 54.5 last time I looked at it. You can't go wrong with Wilson at all. I mean, obviously he's playing at an MVP level right now at 7.6. He's not even the most expensive quarterback on the slate, and I think it's a great matchup. So give me some Russell Wilson. And just as a pivot, he'll probably be lower owned. I didn't look up his ownership before I looked at this, but I know it's a tougher matchup. Kyla Murray against Miami, which we don't think Miami is a tough matchup. Miami actually is number 3 DVOA versus the pass. But Murray has that rushing upside, and if that pass isn't there, they're going to run the ball. And they're actually terrible against the run. So I think Murray can have a huge game on the ground this week, and a little bit of a pivot off some of these chalkier quarterbacks at the top at 7.8. I do like Kyla Murray. And just real quick, guys, while we're on the podcast here, we just had a nice donation to the GoFundMe account of $100 from Joseph Figueroa. I can't pronounce the last name, but I appreciate it for the donation. We are now up over $500. So great. What was that?
He's in the Facebook, the DFS Roundtable group.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
Yep.
We appreciate it.
Thanks,
Yep.
man.
Great donation there.
He's watching the show right now. Thanks, Josh.
All right, guys, let's move down into the mid-tier quarterbacks. And Tim, I'll go to you first this time.
Yeah, if Josh Allen isn't my favorite quarterback on this slate, it's because it's Justin Herbert. This dude has just been absolutely lighting it up. He is, like I said, people thought he was going to be the number 1 pick coming out, and he didn't end up being, but it looks like he probably, should have been. No, he's everything he was advertised to be, and he gets to play a Raiders team that, sorry, Gerson, but they're a team you can pick on at this point. They're projected 26.5 points. I don't think that they can stop what this team does with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And by the way, Mike Williams last week as my sick call came through, so I was happy about that one. I had a bunch of Mike Williams last week, so that worked out.
So did I. Shit.
Good
There
shit.
you go.
All right, Gerson, who you got in your mid-tier?
Well, I love Justin Herbert. I've been trying to make a nickname for him, and I keep going Herbertly, but it doesn't make any sense. But I just love him. He's been good. The thing was about Justin Herbert is he was supposed to be a first pick overall 2 years ago, but he went back to Oregon, right? And just people didn't like his mechanic. I thought he was always good. I just don't want to be the person that said he's good because there was this other quarterback named Joe Burrow that was getting all the shine, and Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
I think my mid-tier quarterback that I have is Matt Ryan or Matty Ice. While Calvin Ridley is out, I still believe Julio is the cornerstone of that offense. If he's healthy, he gets things going. Facing the Denver Broncos, and AJ Boyes isn't supposed to play, right?
Nope, I don't think so.
AJ Boyes being out is going to help the Atlanta Falcons get this game going. They have an implied total of 27 points. While they rank 10th overall in DVOA, I think that's a little bit skewed.
Yeah, he is out. I confirmed out.
Okay, good. Without AJ Boyes, that defense will go down a little bit. Matt Ryan's 6,400 at home too, and this is one. I feel like this is one of those guys, those weeks that you're gonna get very low ownership, and he's gonna go off. He's coming in at 3% ownership. So in a GPP tournament, I'm gonna have Matt Ryan in my stack because he's cheap. It's a cheap stack. You can stack him with Julio Jones, and bring him back with. Actually, I don't want to ruin the plays, guys. Just listen to the podcast. Sorry.
Hey, one more thing I will add on to that is that one of the stats I looked at for Matt Ryan, because he's on my list as well, is that the DVP on Denver, they're 9th to running backs and 23rd to quarterbacks.
There you go.
So again, you're looking at a team. They do exactly what the Falcons do best. Falcons can't run the ball, but they can throw the ball. So nice. I love it. Ryan should be money.
Yep, and I got those guys on my list as well. Herbert, I think, will be pretty chalky. My pivot is going to be Mr. Big Ben at 6.5, going up against that Dallas defense, which we know is pretty bad. They actually played a little bit better last week, but still not very good. I think his ownership's coming in around 2%. Is that right, Gerson? That's what when I last looked at, around 2% for Ben Roethlisberger. Some great stack options there as well. You got Juju, you got Deontay Johnson if he plays, obviously, and then you got Chase Claypool. So I think Big Ben could have a big game against Dallas as well. All right.
Go ahead. 2%. You're right. I'm a little worried though, aren't you? About like they get ahead, they're just gonna run the ball.
It's definitely possible. It's definitely possible because Dallas is going to be terrible on offense. Because I mean, what are they? Who's starting there? What's his name? I don't even know.
That's what we said about Pat Mahomes last week. Okay, you can score 4 touchdowns in the first half and then run the ball in the second.
Yep, there you go. There you go.
It could very well happen.
Fair point.
I'm not saying that Big Ben is Pat Mahomes, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm just saying similar scenario.
I'm trying to hold that in. I was trying to hold that in, bro. I was like,
I could tell. I could see the wheels turning.
All right, let's move down to our value tier, and I'll go to you, Tim, since Gerson's got no one on his value tier. Actually, he has Jimmy G on his value tier still.
Sorry. Just Jimmy G. Yeah. So I will tell you that going into last Sunday morning, I seriously considered playing Carr as in my cash lineup, but I just looked at that game in Cleveland and I just couldn't do it. But I think that this game in LA is going to be perfect, man. Inside that stadium, Carr's just like, okay, let me go ahead and be that guy again. The Lions actually moved 2 points on this game, which I thought was interesting. The Raiders opened as a 3-point underdog, and then it moved to 1. So they pretty much, see this game as a toss-up. I think it's going to be close, 52 over/under. I love Carr as a value play at quarterback this week. Again, Waller may have burned you, but I'm going to go back to that stack again this week.
Yep, I like it.
What if I told you I did have a value play? Not Carr, though. I had a different value play, but...
All right, who you got?
He might play, he might not play.
Who you got?
Chase Daniel.
Uh-oh.
For the Detroit Lions. If Matthew Stafford is out, I will have some Chase Daniel in my lineup. More than likely, it's just to fit him in with make other stud. Like, the other stud will be talking at the running back and wide receiver position.
Yep.
But if he's out, he is $4,000. And we've seen Chase Daniel before in the NFL. I mean, this guy has came through last year. He had a 15-point game against Oakland. What do you know? I'm not so excited about a 12-point game, but he's come through before. And in this environment with Minnesota, they're going to score on them. And Minnesota's defense is not good. We've seen it. I mean, they've been scored on. Chase Daniel at 4,000, stack him with Marvin Jones, running back with Jefferson or Thielen. It could be good. But like I said, if Matthew Stafford's out, I think and I believe the protocol is that you have to pass 5 COVID tests in a row.
Yep.
And he is on track, but if he fails 1 COVID test and he's out, he's going to be a value play for sure.
Yep, good point. Kyle's got a question. I'm going to ask you, Tim, because you play more cash games than Gerson does. He wants to know Jake Luton in cash. Are you interested at all in him with that cheap price point?
No, I'm not, and that's because I think there's another guy that's a better play if you're gonna pay down.
Yeah, I agree, and I think if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be Drew Lock. That's who you're talking about.
Yeah, Drew Lock comes up as my number 1 point per dollar value quarterback this week, and I like Carr better. So I think if you're going to pay down, you can try and get to Carr. But like I said earlier, Seattle gives up the most points to quarterbacks. Number 2 is the Atlanta Falcons. So I think that this is a situation where he's not going to have hardly any pass rush coming at him in a dome stadium against a team that is famous for choking away leads, right? I see this as a situation where they're just going to let him basically score. They average over 300 yards, passing yards allowed per game. So he's almost a lock for the bonus. I just think that he's going to get you like 20 to 22 points with a ceiling of maybe 27, which for 5,200 is just amazing. Yeah. So I think Carr could do that easily too. But I think Locke, if you need the extra few hundred, is a fine play.
Yeah, I love Locke as well against Atlanta at 5.2. He started to come around last week at the end of last game where he saw a little bit of what we saw last year when, we were all excited about him coming into the season. So I think if he can keep that going against Atlanta, I think he's going to be all right.
And he should have all of his weapons this week, which is another big thing for me.
Yep.
Everything should be good.
Weapon?
Weapon.
Well, weapons. Okay, fine, whatever.
I don't think there's weapons out there, to be honest. But, I guess he kind of convinced me on Drew Lock. I mean, you can run it back with Julio, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the stack options there are pretty cheap. Tim Patrick, I think, is 4.9. I think Judy's 4.7. Fantasy, he's not super expensive. So, yeah, I think there's some definitely good options there. All right, let's get to the tight ends.
Did somebody say tight ends?
All right, Tim, I'm going to go right back to you. Give me one of your elite tight ends.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to talk about Gerson's boy there. So, hopefully, last week you had some Travis Kelsey because he probably paid off for you. And this week, again, I think you want some Travis Kelsey. When you look at the stats at Carolina, they don't give out a lot of points to the tight end, but they don't face, there's no tight ends you face like Travis Kelsey, man. He's number one. I looked at the other day, I'm pretty sure it was number one in tight end yards and catches, just everything, end zone targets, everything you want. You're obviously paying up $7,200, but he's basically a volume wide receiver at that point. He's priced like he should be, but he's a slate breaker anytime.
Nice. I like it. Gerson, who you got?
My number one tight end is just basically Noah Fant. I'm going to have a lot of him. Noah Fant, he's a very athletic tight end, in case you haven't watched football this year. When he's been hurt, though. So maybe you missed a couple games or something. But no, Noah Fant, he got 9 targets, 7 receptions, 47 yards last week. Albert O has been coming into his production. But against the Oakland Raiders ranked 32nd to last, dead last against tight end. 4,600. He's coming in at the highest ownership, too. It's crazy because I don't know. If someone would have told me Noah Fant's going to be the highest owned tight end, I would have been like, what about Travis Kelsey and George Kittle and all these other guys that are elite? Like, did they die?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, but Noah Fant coming in, very high ownership. This is the Atlanta Falcons we're facing, guys. I mean, Erasmus Jr. had a good game against them, so Noah Fant should have a decent game. And like Tim said, Drew Lock and his weapon, this is his weapon right here, Noah Fant. So definitely, I love Fant, and his price is awesome.
Yeah, I like those calls as well. The one guy that I'm going to go a pivot to as a lower owned guy is Mr. Hawkinson at 5.1 against Minnesota. If you look at weeks 1 and 2 when they were without Galladay, he had 9 catches, 118 yards, and a touchdown, and that was against Chicago and Green Bay, both pretty good defenses, especially against the tight end. Minnesota's tough against the tight end as well, but I do think that Hawkinson without Galladay becomes the number 1 target there. So give me some Hawk. Now, this is only if Stafford plays. I don't like him as much as if Chase Daniels plays, but if Stafford is playing for whatever reason, Hawkinson at 5.1 is definitely going to be in my lineups for sure. All right. Anybody we didn't mention in that? We'll talk about Mark Andrews a little bit. Gerson, you got him in your list as well.
I think Mark Andrews all dependent on how crazy you want to get with your roster. And I always get crazy with my rosters. So Mark Andrews coming in at 4,800. That's the lowest price we've seen in him in a while. I mean, he's usually let's see, 5,800, 6,500, 6,200, 6,000, 6,000, 6,300. I mean, those price ranges is what he's been all year, and now we're getting him at 4,800.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy. Indianapolis ranks number 1 against defense for tight end. I think, like I said, if you want to get crazy, this is contrarian, guys.
Yep.
Contrarian means straight up TPP, He's coming in at 2% ownership, but from what I'm seeing, I think this could be a game where he breaks out and possibly gets a lot of target. I mean, the Ravens have to get back onto what they did last year.
Yep.
And they haven't been great. Like, is everybody quoting this thing that, I mean, everybody's saying, is Lamar Jackson a bust, for fantasy football? Yeah, basically he already is because you drafted him in the 3rd or the 4th round.
Yep.
I mean, but Mark Andrews, he's coming into that same tier. But I think Mark Andrews at 4,800 is a great price. I'm going to have exposure to him for sure. GPP, guys, GPP. Don't come at me.
Don't at me. All right, let's move down into the mid-tier. I'm going to give you my mid-tier, guys, and then we'll get to yours. I have Evan Ingram as my mid-tier. Washington gives up the nice most points to tight ends, and they have the 7th best DPOC matchup, which rates your consistency versus the position. So they're consistent in giving up points to that position. Ingram's looked good the last couple of weeks. He's gotten, I think, double-digit points in both games. So Ingram now is finally being involved in that offense, and I think he can have a good game at 4.3. Tim, we'll go to you on your mid-tier guy.
Yeah, probably, or I guess he's kind of a value, really. Both values is Hayden Hurst. I think that he's one of the better, value plays at tight end at 4,100. I'm expecting Calvin Ridley not to play in this game. Obviously, a lot of those targets we'll talk about will go to Julio, but I think that Hayden Hurst will see some of them, and he's running as many routes on as many snaps as any tight end in the league at this point. So I think I saw he's close, like over 80% of Matt Ryan's dropbacks he's running a route on. So I think it's a situation where he's almost underpriced for his usage, and I think there's a good chance he gets a touchdown. So I think I'm probably, if I don't play Fant, it's going to be Hurst in cash.
I like it.
Shout out to Jared. That's why we're all here, because we're crazy. Hell yeah, we're crazy.
All right, Gerson, you got Jonnu Smith in that list there. Talk about Jonnu Smith a little bit.
Jonnu Smith's been disappointing the last 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
While the Chicago Bears have been very good against covering against wide receivers, they haven't been all that great covering tight end. They're 22nd overall in DBP. Jonnu Smith, I think he should be good. I mean, 2 weeks ago he was dealing with an ankle injury. He rolled his ankle, right? Yep. And then he looked very the same. He hasn't looked the same for the last 3 weeks. I mean, he has a total of 5 points, and I know that because I have him in my Yahoo league, and that pissed me off. Hey, now I'm 5-3. Don't put 5-2 or something like that. But anyways, Jonnu Smith in this matchup, I think he should get peppered. The thing that surprised me was his price, man. 3,900.
Yep.
I was like, wow, okay, you got my attention. And then the other thing that surprised me was his ownership percentage, 5.4%. That got my attention more. Chicago is a pretty good defense. It just sucks that they have Nick Foles as their quarterback. It would be actually a better environment to target, right? But yeah, I mean, I think Jonnu should get some exposure in this game. I mean, some targets in this game, and I like him a lot.
Good stuff. All right, we'll move down to the values, and we pretty much have the same guys. Tim, I'll go to you first. Talk about Mr. Albert O.
Yeah, Albert O, man. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that last name. It's just Albert O. I think there's two reasons I like this. Obviously, Atlanta is terrible to tight ends, but he's still running a decent amount of routes, and he's on snaps even with Noah Fant coming back. So I still think he's got some usage. But I think that there's a real good chance he vultures a touchdown this week. I actually picked him in my arena team. At 2,800, he's really a punt, but I think he's somebody that you can safely project maybe 4 or 5 points for and then hope gets a touchdown. Because I think he's probably good for at least 3 or 2 for 30 or something like that, right? Maybe 3 for 20, something like that. And then you hope he gets the touchdown. So that's kind of what I'm hoping this week. He's the only punt guy I feel comfortable with. I think you can try and find the money to get up if possible.
All right, Gerson, me and you have the same guy on our list as well. I'll let you talk about Mr. Irv Smith Jr.
No, I want you to talk about him because you're going to jinx him for the next 10 years of his life.
I've been hyping him up. I have, man. I've been waiting for that breakout. I just made a trade for him in the dynasty league that me and Gerson are in. I see it. I mean, he's athletic as hell. It's Kirk Cousins. It's just holding him back. I think that this could be the week that he finally gets something going. Dalvin Cook last week, game scripted him out of the game. I mean, they had no reason to throw the ball. Just give it to Dalvin Cook, and he was just going to do some things. But I think last week, Irv Smith Jr. could have had a big game if they were able to pass more. This week, maybe they're passing a little bit more. Irv Smith Jr. kind of stepped up a little bit. 2.8. I think he was $3K last week. 2.8 drops a little bit. I do like that price point. He's a punt. I think this is probably a week that I'm paying up for tight end. But if I want to pay down, I think it's probably going to be Irv Smith Jr. for me, Mr. ISJ.
Hey Jeff, do you think you're gonna win that matchup in your dynasty league in that league?
No, I don't think I am. I'm playing against Gerson. That's why he's asking that question. And I've given the season away already. I've already traded away some of my assets. I got some first round picks for next year. My team was looking pretty rough, so I had to make some moves. I made a bad trade. I made a bad trade in the offseason that's gonna hurt me. It's hurting me. I should have stuck to my guns. All right, guys, let's get to our favorite commercial. I know I always get a lot of comments on this commercial. It's me.
Sock time.
Yeah, it's combed cotton time. Let's go. What's up, everyone? Jeff Lambert here, and I want to tell you about Society Socks. Is your sock drawer kind of boring? I know mine is. Society Socks is a men's sock subscription company that sends 2 pairs of exclusively designed socks to your door every month. These socks are made of a warm, soft, and comfortable blend of combed cotton, guaranteed to make your feet feel and look great. At the office or the bar, your socks are sure to be a hit. You might be wondering, why are they called Society Socks? Well, that's the best part. Socks are one of the most needed and least donated items at homeless shelters. Society Socks aims to change that. With every pair of socks purchased, another pair of socks is donated to homeless shelters. So on top of receiving awesome socks every month and amping up your sock drawer, you are actively making a positive change in society. With 2 surprise pairs of socks arriving at your door every month, you'll begin to grow an impressive sock collection. Visit mysocietysocks.com/armchair and enter our promo code ARMCHAIR to get 50% off your first subscription. Put an end to boring socks and subscribe today. Again, that's mysocietysocks.com/armchair and use promo code ARMCHAIR. All right, guys, welcome back. Make sure you go get your combed cotton socks. Visit mysocietysocks.com and use Armchair as your promo code. All right, guys.
Hey, Geoff, before we get into running backs, I'm going to go ahead and put the challenge out there. The top donation to your addiction fundraiser, I will buy a pair of My Society socks.
Nice. There you go. All right. I like it.
There you go. So put that out there. I want to see the number 1 donation.
Good stuff. I like it. All right. Let's get to those running backs.
It's time for running backs. Running backs.
All right. Tim, kick us off, man. What you got for your elite running back?
Yeah, there's one guy I think that's on his own tier this week, and that's Dalvin Cook. I know he's highlighted, Gerson. I know you want to talk about him, but I watched him absolutely decimate my Packers last week, just run up, down, and sideways, and I expect he's going to do the exact same thing to the Detroit Lions this week. They know that he's their best chance to win. Taking the ball out of Kirk Cousins' hands is their best opportunity, and he's the first guy you lock into your cash games. And I still think I'm going to be heavy on him, even though he's going to be one of the highest owned players in tournaments. I just think he's got probably the highest ceiling of any running back on this slate. So I think you got to have him.
I like it. Gerson, you only have one guy listed there. You got Dalvin Cook as well. You got any stats you want to throw out for Dalvin Cook?
I mean, just basically, it's like, to me, it's just the volume he gets. 21st overall in DVOA rank. 33% ownership. It's the highest ownership of the whole slate on every single position.
Yep.
He pretty much last week with Alvin Kamara was last week, I believe he was the highest owned.
Last week it was Henry, I thought. I don't know.
It was Henry and Kamara toss up. It was either one of them. They're both pretty high owned.
Yeah. But I mean, in a matchup against Detroit, it's just great. That price does worry me a little bit. 8,200 though. I think I'd rather have another guy as my top guy this week, but I'll talk about him later. Dalvin Cook is the top running back. Other than that, I don't really see any other one. People have asked me about CMC. I'm not too interested in CMC at 8,500. I haven't paid for CMC probably all season, even when he was playable. I just don't see CMC being productive right away. He can be productive, like 20 points, but 8,500 productive, I'm good. I'll pass. I want to see what he's going to be like before he comes back. Derrick Henry has come out to be the other guy that everybody wants to own as a top tier. I like Derrick Henry, but against Chicago, stout defense, that's a tough matchup. 7,900 too, that's not cheap. So it's more of a contrarian GPP play because I can't tell you how many times I hate not playing Derrick Henry because he can get you to, 3 touchdowns, 90-yard or 120-yard and 2 touchdowns. It's just like I feel like Derrick Henry has the highest ceiling and floor.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's just so upsetting, but that's the top tier. I don't think there's anybody else in the top tier up there.
Yeah, I got CMC written down just because I think in tournaments at 8.5, most of the time he's in there, he's 10,000 plus. At 8.5, if he may be CMC of old. I won't have a ton of ownership to him. I think his Cook, like you mentioned, he's going to be the one that everybody wants to own. But CMC is a pivot. Playing against Kansas City, it could be a higher scoring game. What's that, Gerson?
3% ownership.
For who, CMC?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's if he ends up being CMC and you got 3% ownership, then you definitely got a good play there. But obviously, coming out from injury, who knows how it's going to actually play out? Definitely a risky play for sure. All right, let's move down into the mid tier guys, and Gerson, we'll go to you first this time. Give me one of your mid tiers.
So I'm living and dying by the mid tier and the value. Like, I'm gonna have so much exposure to these two tier. My number one guy is James Conner. I have a feeling that James Conner. I always do this every week. I look at my tiers and I say, who out of these top 10 running backs? When I say top 10, like just top 10 overall NFL running backs, can really break out. Last week it was Dalvin Cook. There's been weeks where Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry, all these other guys, like they always get big games. I've gotten lucky. I'm not gonna lie, but there's times where I failed. But this week it's definitely James Conner against Dallas, ranked 29th in DVOA. And they're going to blow them out. I don't expect this game to be close at all. I expect them to, beat them, 34 to, let's give them 3 points. No, let's give them, at least a touchdown, But Pittsburgh is just going to run it down their throat. It is at Dallas, but that 6,900 price tag is pretty good for James Conner. He's coming in at my number one value play. Next to another value. They're really just tied with another value running back. But 6,900 versus Dallas. I love that matchup. I'm going to have a lot of James Conner this week.
All right. I love it. Tim, who you got?
Yeah, I got to agree there. I will tell you, I almost signed up for a BUSR account today just so I could go on and hammer the Steelers neg 14 because I think that line is way too low. I think it should be closer to 20. If it was 17.5, I still might play it. Because I agree, I think that they're going to put up maybe 2 field goals and at least going to give up 28 points. So, but I think if you're not playing James Conner, it's because you're playing Chase Edmonds. He finally has a chance to kind of be the guy with Drake out, and he's looked terrible anyway. I mean, Drake has. When Edmonds has looked better when he's gotten the opportunity, and this is kind of his shot. He gets to play Miami Dolphins at home in a game they're expected to win. Tua's first road game, Yeah, I think he's going to get plenty of opportunity to run the ball and show what he's got. And Miami has a terrible run defense. They have a good pass D and terrible run D. I think that game plan is going to be to put the ball in his hands a lot. And so I love him this week. I'm going to have him. I don't know if he's a cash play for me. I think Conner is probably the cash play, but I'm definitely going to have Chase Edmonds in tournaments and a lot of it.
Edmonds definitely a cash game play, dude.
Yeah.
Sorry, brother. I don't mean to call you dude. It's like a brother to me.
Yeah.
Chase Edmonds definitely a cash game play. I mean, Miami ranked 32nd overall in DVOA, and I expect ownership on him for sure, especially with
I just think you have to play Cook, and you're probably going to play Conner. So I don't know if you can play Edmonds too.
Yeah, well, a lot of people play different plays. So
Yeah.
I love it though, for sure.
Good stuff. I got 2 pivots off some of the chalk plays. CEH versus Carolina at 6.1. That offense, of course, we know is explosive, and I do think that they can get up on Carolina, and it'll be CEH getting the carries. I know Le'Veon Bell's there, kind of muddies the waters a little bit, but at 6.1, I think I still like CEH. Gibson versus the New York Giants. Giants actually have a pretty decent run defense, but I do think Gibson's getting more and more involved in that offense. I think he's just going to continue to go up. Giants give up the 10th most points to running backs, and Gibson, they want him to be the guy. I think he's eventually going to be the guy. I think this could be the game that maybe they use it a little bit more because they are kind of in the hunt for the division. Kind of crazy to think about, and this game would go a long way to that division title. So those are 2 guys that I had. They're a little bit more pivots off some of the chalk. Gerson, you got one more guy. Actually, you have 2 more guys on your list there. Give me one of your guys that you got on the mid tier.
So I'll talk really quick about him. Josh Jacobs right now dealing with an illness and a knee injury. If he's out, of course, he's not going to be on my radar. I do like him though in this game, facing the Chargers. They're kind of 18th. They're in mid-tier basically in both in DVP and DVOA, ranking 18th overall. But the thing that surprised me, I thought he was actually going to be lower on. He's at 24%. That's pretty crazy. But his price is 6,300, and he gets the volume. Last week he got 31 carries, so that's what I want in my running back. But the other guy I'm really interested in is James Robinson. I know. I don't know if his name's Luton, or Lotan, or I don't know how to pronounce his last name. But I look at a player profiler, And geez, I thought he looked like Geoff Lambert out there. I was like, wait a minute.
So he looks amazing, Dan. That's what you're saying. Looks amazing. I got you. Next great quarterback right there.
I'm really worried about James Robinson this week. I think they're going to lean on him, but I think it could end up being like that Madison game where he just gets completely game scripted out and ends up with like 7 points at 7K. So I'm not saying he's going to get 7. I'm just saying that game script is possible.
Yeah, well, I would respect that, Tim, but that's the thing, though. He's not really game script dependent because he gets target in the reception. He gets 6 targets, 7 targets, 6 targets. He's had upside on the receiving game.
That's a different quarterback, though. I mean, you can say that they're going to game plan it, but I think running back targets a lot of times are a quarterback stat.
Oh, well, it's first Houston. I mean, Houston hasn't been all that great.
No, they're terrible, but they know that Jacksonville is going to try and come in and run the ball. Yep. Right? They're going to game plan for it this time. So they're going to force Luton to try and beat him, and I don't think he can. That's my – I'm not saying don't play him. I'm just saying I think he's got the lowest floor of any guy in that range.
Yeah. Gerson, real quick, I got a question for you.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Question for you from Brian Clark on I think he's on Facebook. If no Josh Jacobs, are you playing Booker?
Are you talking to me or who?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, it's the Raider guy. Come on.
Oh, you cut out. Sorry, my bad. No. I seen Booker before in Denver when he was a full-time running back. I seen Booker when when he was at the University of Utah. I loved him, of course. But no, I don't think so because Booker is like what? Is he 4,000? Yeah, he's 4,000. Well, there was a running back named Matt Breida, but then he decided to be a vagina. I think I'd rather just pay up for like. I don't want to talk about them until we get there. I'll talk about them.
All right, let's get down to the values, and Tim, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about David Johnson. I just talked about the game script that I think is entirely possible, where Houston gets way up, and Jacksonville just can't catch up, and then they actually give David Johnson some real run. I could easily see him getting 20 touches in this game. I like him a lot as a mid-tier play. I think he's going to have a huge touch potential, home-favored running back. He kind of checks all the boxes. And like I said, he's only, 5,700. So I'm going to have a lot of David Johnson this week just because I think there's so many game scripts that benefit him.
I like it. Gerson, you have the last man standing in the backfield for Seattle. He was a pretty good play last week as well. Talk about Mr. D. Dallas real quick.
Is David Johnson a mid-tier player or is he a value player?
He's a value. We're at the values now.
Yeah, right on the edge there.
Oh, okay. DJ Dallas. I mean, I might be wrong, but Sleeper alerted me early on. I was kind of like working, but they said that Alec Collins is
activated.
Seattle.
Yep.
He's not a thing, guys. No. It's gonna be DJ Dallas. DJ Dallas last week he got even with Travis Homer. Is it Homer or Hosmer?
Homer. Yep.
Homer.
Okay, Travis Homer. I mean, he was active. He didn't get a lot of. He got
Nothing.
like what 3 or 4 snaps. I don't know how many snaps he got, but he didn't get a lot. DJ Dallas was the workhorse there. He did fuck up though. That fucking idiot. Like, jeez. on a handoff on the goal line, Russell Wilson goes to hand it off to him on the left side. Where was he? Pass blocking on the right side, and Russell's like, all right, I guess I'm going inside. Get tackled by the 300-pound lineman. Boom, gets hit. Yep. And he made it up, though, on the next play by a receiving touchdown on the goal line. So and he even went, I saw the video, he's like, oh, my bad, dog. I fucked up. My bad, But he made it up. I think DJ Dallas is actually a good running back. He's out of the Miami Hurricanes. He's a good running back. I say he's okay. I mean, he did really crappy last week, 2.3 yards per carry, but that's good. The 49ers defense. You got to respect that. But 22 points. That's what I'm looking at. Yep. 22 points in a high-scoring offense, 5,000 price tag. I'm 100% sure this ownership is going to change before Sunday. Yep. 3%? No, there's no way he's going to be 3%.
It'll be high.
Yeah, I've already seen updates with him over 20.
Yep.
I was looking at Carson before Carson was ruled out, and now I think, okay, Dallas is definitely in play. So I love DJ Dallas this week. Before DJ Dallas kind of became the play, I think my favorite running back value was Justin Jackson. I still think he's a great play. It looks like he's really trying to hold on to that job. But, he's 4,900, expectation of about, 15 touches, I would say, maybe 12 and 3, something like that. And then real quick, last guy I have on my list here is Swifty, DeAndre Swift, my Millie Maker winner. I think this is a game where Detroit's going to get behind pretty early and have to throw the ball. They seem to like him. He's getting over 60% of the snaps now, so I think they're going to try and commit to him. He's obviously their pass game back, so I think he's going to get the usage that you're looking for in the passing game. I do expect Matt Stafford to play at this point. If Chase Daniels plays, I think I'm a little lower on him, but I expect Stafford's going to play.
All right, then I'll talk about the elephant in the room, Mr. Laird Legend at 4,000 versus Arizona.
Praise the Laird.
Yeah, Patrick Laird. Everyone's kind of talking about this guy. He was sort of a cult hero last year. I wrote down one note. So this is some hard-hitting analysis right here. I wrote down Jordan Howard can't catch. That's basically what it is. It's him and Jordan Howard in that backfield. Gaskins is on IR. Breed has been ruled out. Laird will be the receiving back there. I do think that Laird will be the one catching the passes out of the backfield. Howard could fall into the end zone, unfortunately, for Laird's stock, but I do think at 4,000 he is viable. I won't play a ton of him. He's not the most athletic running back in the world, but he can catch, so that's why I'm playing him at 4K. All right, guys. Any more you missed before we move to the receivers?
Yeah, I think Zach Moss is in play for sure against Seattle. In this game environment, it should be a high-scoring game. I think Zach Moss at 5,200 is in play. I love that DeAndre Swift call, and I honestly think that Minnesota is going to outscore them, so they'll be falling from behind, and DeAndre Swift is a pass-catching running back.
Yep. Even
though Keenan Johnson's already be an asshole last week and still that touchdown pass-catching. But DeAndre Swift, definitely, I love that call, Tim.
All right, good stuff. Let's get to the receivers.
And now, wide receivers.
All right, guys, just a peek behind the curtain really quick. So we have a spreadsheet that we set up, and we all do our plays in our spreadsheet. And we got about this much space on our spreadsheet, and usually there's a couple empty spaces for running backs, quarterbacks, tight ends. Wide receiver is just about packed full because there's so many plays this week for wide receiver. Tim made a comment about we got to hurry up and get to the receivers because there's so many of them to talk about. But Tim, go ahead and kick it off here with the elite level receivers we got here.
Oh no, we got to go to Gerson because whose week is it?
Julio!
Good stuff.
Baby, it's Don Julio time. Woo! I can't wait. I'm going to have Julio in all my single entrants, all my heavy, $150 rosters, whatnot. Oh, shit, I just gave out my secret. But I love Julio this week, guys. And you guys know, as many of you guys know, my favorite wide receiver in the current era right now is definitely Julio Jones. I'm a big Julio guy. But in a Denver matchup with no AJ Boy, no Calvin Ridley, 7,200. And, I mean, I've been saying it all show, right? There's one guy that I think is basically the Devontae Adams of this week. It's Julio Jones. You're getting him at 7,200, facing the matchup against, I've never heard of this guy, Michael Ojumudaya. That's the guy that's going to be covering Julio Jones, a future Hall of Famer. Yeah, that's not going to work out very well. And at home, I think Julio is in for a big-time game. Who'd you say? It was Josh Allen, 30 points? Or what if Julio Jones gets 30 points, you know? I mean, you got 60 points right there, man. But I'm not saying Tim guaranteed it. But I am guaranteeing Julio Jones to have a 30-point game this week. I think that's how great of a play he is in this game.
Nice.
I like Julio.
I completely agree. He was probably the first wide receiver I looked at. He was the guy I prioritized getting in the arena. I think my second, I think, the only guy I think that's close, I think there's two guys that are close to him for me. But my favorite of the two is Tyler Lockett. Yeah. I think every slate that you see Seattle on, your first thought is this Metcalf or is this Lockett week, right?
Yep.
So it seems like it's rotated, Lockett, Metcalf. This week it's Lockett. I think most people know it's Lockett. He's going to be chalk, but I think you have to play it because they proved against Arizona they will go to it over and over and over again if they have to. And I kind of see that game script playing out here, man. They're so bad across the middle. They're just going to play Lockett all day and go for it. So I think Julio's the number one guy, but I think Lockett, another guy we're going to talk about, are very close.
Yeah, I like it. Go ahead.
Because Tre'Davious White, he's going to be covering DK Metcalf, guys.
Yep.
DK Metcalf is a monster, though. Like, I have friends, I posted on my Facebook saying who's the best wide receiver in the NFL currently, and someone told me that DK Metcalf was. I was like, well, that sounds like something Geoff would say.
This is something Geoff would say. Yeah. Now, I did say he will be the future of the NFL. I didn't say he is currently right now. But yeah, I did have DK down, and I did see that shadow stat, so I kind of went off him a little bit. I do think he's still a good pivot off of Lockett if you want to have him in tournaments. I don't think I'm going to have a huge amount to him because he will be shadowed by Tre'Davious White, who's a very good cornerback. The other guy that I had, and I think you all had him as well, is Keenan Allen. I mean, this guy's getting targets like crazy from Herbert. It's ridiculous. He's just now hitting the 7K mark. I think he was like 6.7 or 6.8 last week. Allen should be way more expensive than that, and he's playing against the Raiders, who aren't that great of a defense. So I love me some Keenan Allen this week for sure. And let's see, the two of you both have Diggs on your list. Which one wants to take Diggs?
Well, I think I figured it out. I think I figured out Justin Herbert's nickname, Herbertlicious.
Herbertlicious.
Yeah. And Herbertlicious every time you play him. No. You want to take him, Tim, or do you want me to take him?
Go for it, man.
Stephon Diggs, I mean, all year we've been doing two things, right? Who's playing Seattle? Who's the wide receiver? Play them. Unless your name is Jimmy G, you can't freaking do shit. But, I mean, you saw Nick Bowen come in last week in the third.
He balled out.
Yeah. And he shredded them apart. That's what we're looking to see here. I don't think Josh Allen's a great quarterback, but I think he's good enough to get it done. Stephon Diggs is priced up at $7,400. That ownership shocked me, though. I didn't expect ever to see Stephon Diggs at 20% ownership, but he is going to be covered by Quentin Dunbar. Easy matchup right there. They're dead last, obviously. We all know that. But Stephon Diggs, you can correlate it back with Tyler Lockett. You have to get smart with it, though. I mean, it's an expensive stack with Josh Allen and them, but here's a hint. John Brown or Cole Beasley, Tim brother, another mother,
Yep. We're going to talk about Beasley here in a second, but I just want to give that stat real quick on Seattle. They give up 23.8 PPR points more above average. The next closest team is Cleveland at 8.4. So 23.8, 8.4.
Wow.
So that's how much worse they are than the next nearest team in terms of PPR points allowed to wide receivers.
Wow.
So it's just insane.
And Gerson, just real quick, I know you mentioned how Mullins came in last week and played really well. He seems to come in the middle of games and play really well. He just can't start them. He's like the Lou Williams of the NFL. He needs to come in like the middle of the game and then just ball out. We can't start him. We got to find a guy to come in and start and then put him in the third or fourth quarter and then have him play. All right, guys, let's move down to
just got a nickname.
Yeah, Herbaceous. Herbaceous. I like it. All right, let's move down to the mid-tier, and we got a shit ton of these guys. Let's pick out just a couple of them so we can get through these guys. Tim, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, Gerson just kind of alluded to it a little bit. I have Cole Beasley and John Brown. I kind of put them together because I think if you're not playing Stephon Diggs, you're playing one of these two guys and you're trying to get some leverage just because Seattle gives it so much to the slot as well. I love as he called it, my brother from another mother, Cole Beasley this week. I'm definitely going to have a lot of exposure there. And then I'm going back to my pick from last week, my sit call, going right back to Mike Williams again for the leverage.
Nice. I like it. Gerson, who you got?
I have Deontay Johnson. I think we're playing like the circus wheel, right, every week with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I think Deontay Johnson, I honestly think Deontay Johnson is the best wide receiver in Pittsburgh. And that might be I don't think it's a bold take no more. But they played Baltimore last week. Get over it, okay? It was a bad matchup. But Deontay Johnson is $5,000. Definitely a great play. I think they can Dallas secondary is not good at all. They ranked 18th overall in DVP. I mean, and the matchup is great. I'm going to have a lot of 26th in DVP. Sorry about that. Mm-hmm. And he's going to be matched up with Trayvon Diggs,
yeah.
Which is Stephon Diggs' brother. I think Trayvon Diggs is actually an okay cornerback. He hasn't done too bad, but it's just that safety and all that with Dallas. I mean, I can't see him, but Deontay Johnson's definitely on my radar. The other guy I like is it was Mike Williams, but Will Fuller. We've seen what Will Fuller can do. He can have those big games and whatnot. But Will Fuller facing Jacksonville Jaguars, we've already seen this before. I mean, earlier in the season, he had a 15-point game, 8 for 8 targets, 4 receptions, 58 yards, and a touchdown. I think in this game with Deshaun Watson, I think Bill O'Brien was still around at that time, right?
Yep.
Wasn't he?
He was.
Now we have Will Fuller in kind of a better environment. I think I wouldn't be shocked if he gets you a 20-point game. He's coming at 8.5% ownership. He is pricey, $6,800, but Will Fuller is one of those wide receivers that can really take you over the top if he has a big game. AKA, you guys remember last year when he had that 40-point game?
Yep. Yeah, the only guy that I have that we hadn't talked about in the mid-tier, we talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers a little bit. I have Juju in there as a pivot off of the two other guys that we talked about. But Mr. Terry McLaurin, F1 against the Giants. I think he had 14, 15 points against them last time. The Giants are bad against the pass. I think 28th DVOA. I think F1 is basically the only option they have there really in the passing game. So he gets a good nod from me there against the Giants at 6.5. Like I mentioned, I like Juju as a pivot off of Deontay Johnson and the Claypool at 6.2. I think Juju's come on in the last 2 weeks. Then Justin Jefferson against Detroit at 6.1 is your big play guy. He's sort of your GPP winner, your third receiver you put in there. Hope he gets that big play. So those are the guys that I like. Gerson, you got one more guy that I want you to talk about real quick. DJ Moore, I like him as well, but talk about him a little bit.
I just think his price is too. Is it say depressed or how do you say it?
It's too depressed. It is definitely depressed.
Yeah. 5,600 versus Kansas City in a high-scoring environment. I honestly think that game can be a sneaky shootout. I mean, a lot of people might not think of. I haven't seen any Carolina KC stacks like people talking about them as much, but I think that game can be a sneaky shootout. He's going to be matched up with Rashad Breeland, not a very good cornerback in my opinion.
Nope.
But 5,600 for a wide receiver that we thought was good. I mean, I know me and Geoff because we play Dynasty. We thought he was going to be a breakout wide receiver, probably top 10 wide receiver. Sorry, Geoff. I don't mean to speak for you. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
No, you're good, man. He was definitely one of my top plays because I thought the other guys were going to suck, but I guess Robbie Anderson decided he wanted to play.
Yeah. He's like, I'm done speeding and getting high on the freeway or whatever. Yes. I'm just going to play football. But anyway, he got 6 targets last week, only two receptions, 50. I watched that game because my brother had a sweat going on in it. And he's like, dude, DJ Moore gets, oh, fuck, he got 30 yards. I'm done. Okay, I'm not going to talk right. And I'm like, wow, he only got 2 receptions? Kind of shocked me. But before that, he got 93 yards. He's gotten 25 points, 14 points, 19 points. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for high upside 20-point games out of a 5,600 wide receiver in a great environment versus Kansas City. We saw this last week. Nobody was on Kansas. I mean, people were on Kansas City, but not as much as they should have been, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Carolina can score. They can score. But I have a gut feeling, guys. Big game out of DJ Moore this week.
All right, let's move down into the value tier, and I'm going to give you one of my values first real quick. Mr. Mjj Marvin Jones Jr. Of course, there is no Galladay. We saw what he did last week with no Galladay. And MJJ had 43 DK points last year against them in Week 7 against the same team. He had 4 touchdowns. Not claiming he's going to do that again, but at 5.1 with no Galladay, as long as Stafford plays, that's who I'm going to go with as my value at 5.1. Tim, who you have in your value?
Yeah, I love that call. He's one of my favorite value plays. The guy that I have listed here, I think is probably my favorite value play. Well, it's not Marvin Jones. I think Deontay Johnson and Marvin Jones are just so cheap that they're value plays, even though they're 5K. But I think if you're paying down, my favorite guy is Darnell Mooney. Even though last week Foles missed him on a couple of deep passes, it's just so obvious how he's consistently getting open. And I mean, Foles is bad, but he's only going to miss him so many times. And at 3,900, he's getting volume, he's getting the air yards, he's getting open. It's just opportunity is going to eventually catch up, and he's going to get there. So I actually have him in my arena team because I'm so high on him this week. I think he gets a touchdown this week, and I think it's a long one. Last week, what was it? Yeah, he got a 50-yard play 17.9. I think that you could see another one of those this week.
Yeah, there's a video going around. I think it's on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, one of those, where it's Mooney against Jalen Ramsey. And Mooney, loses him on, a double move. I mean, Ramsey's not even in the picture anymore. But then Foles throws the ball, 10 yards over his head. He's literally wide open. I'm like, come on, you got to hit that guy for that. But, yeah, he's definitely he surprised many of being a late-round pick and coming in and actually, earning a starting job. I mean, he's a starter now in the Chicago Bears offense. So, yeah, I love Mooney for sure. Let's see. We got a couple more guys I just want to mention really quick. Amendola, of course, for the Lions with all the injuries they've got there. Slayton, I like versus Washington. And then I think we talked about Drew Lock, but of course his weapons, Jerry Jeudy and Tim Patrick at 4.7 and 4.9 respectively, are also in play as well. With that, let's get to the defenses.
Hey, one quick stat before we move on. Minnesota gives up the most slot yards.
Sorry, I hit the drop already, Tim. Go ahead. Tell us again.
Yeah, sorry. Minnesota gives up the most PPR points to slot receivers.
Nice.
So you definitely want to attack Minnesota there with the slot. Sorry.
Good shit. Sorry about that. I hit the drop too soon. I was trying to move along here. All right, let's get to those defenses. And Tim, we always go to you first because you seem to have the defenses you have the magic touch for defenses come up here. So give us your top defense this week.
Yeah, my favorite defense this week is actually really popular, so I was disappointed. But it's the Washington football team. I think that they've been one of the better defenses this year, and they get to play a home game against Daniel Jones. And even though he looked pretty good against the Bucs, I think with this being a division game, a road game, I think he's, I think that they're going to get to him. They get great pressure, obviously, with their front, and then they have good wide receivers. They actually, I think I read where it's the third. I have to double check this stat, but they were third in terms of pass coverage. It was just insane how good that team is right now. So I love that team. I love the Washington football team if you're going to pay up this week.
I like it. Gerson, who you got?
Tim, you're not going to give out mom narratives?
Oh, yeah, that's true. I did say that. Yeah, Chase Young, his mom said that so far this season he's been playing more like a C+. She expects him to get more sacks in the second half. So, I love a good mom narrative. So he's going to go out there and destroy Daniel Jones just so when he's reviewing the tape with his mom, he knows he's good to go.
That's some hard-hitting shit right there, guys. Only on the Armchair Fan Show can you get that kind of analysis. All right, let's go.
And it was the Washington football team is second DVOA against the pass. That was the stat.
Nice. Yeah. Gerson, who you got?
I got the Giants, man. The New York Giants, I mean, they've been kind of an underrated defense this year, I think. I think a lot of people just overlooked them because of Daniel Jones. But in this game environment versus the Washington football team, while their Washington football team's defense is great, their offense is not all that exciting. I mean, they've scored points recently, but the Giants' price is $2,700.
Yep.
That's so cheap. That's what I'm looking at. I want cheap defense. I think we've done this 3 weeks in a row now.
Yep.
Miami Dolphins last week, the week before that, I think it was the same team, Washington football team. I might be wrong.
Yeah, it was.
But it's just been 3 weeks in a row. You just want to play that cheap defense at $2,700. Count me in for sure. First, Kyle Allen, sure.
Yep, I like that. I have the Giants on my list as well. Only 6 teams have more sacks than the Giants do. They're a sack team. They go after the quarterback. So, yeah, I do like that call a lot. I do have one more defense, a little bit more contrarian, and that's the Houston Texans. And I wrote down this hard-hitting analysis here. I just wrote down Jake Luton. He's the starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's going to throw some picks probably. He's going to struggle. I think that, even though Houston hasn't been a good defense this year, against that quarterback, they can be definitely playable. I think they're 2.5, so they're pretty cheap. They're cheaper even than the Giants' defense.
If I could throw one more out there, Arizona Cardinals, Tua on the road, first game. I think that they could put some pressure on him and kind of eat him up. So 2,900, I like the Cardinals as well.
I like it. And Kyle's got a question for us, too, while we're on defense. If Stafford is out, what are your thoughts on the Vikings defense at 2,400, Gerson? I see you shaking your head. Not loving the Vikings defense against Chase Daniels?
I just don't think they're a good defense overall, even without. I'm telling you, Chase Daniels is a viable replacement quarterback. He's not shit. I mean, there's a reason why he still had an NFL career for so long. I mean, he played for the Vikings. Well, actually,
It's a yes for me. I think you can pay up, but I think if Chase Daniel starts, I like the Vikings thing, just as a pay down option if you need the money.
All right, good stuff. Let's get to our stacks.
Goingfor2.com's weekly stack report.
All right, looks like me and Gerson have exactly the same stack, so I'm going to give you the floor, Gerson. Go ahead and give me your stack of the week.
That's wrong because there's one guy in there that you don't have.
You're right. There is one guy mixed in there that I don't have.
And, well, I'm going to ruin it for you guys because that's my sick call, too. He's in that stack.
There you go.
There's Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett, and Moore running it back with Diggs, man. I mean, like a lot of people don't even know who Moore is, right? But David Moore out of Seattle last week, he got he's my sick call, so I'm just doing both ways. He got 3 targets, 18 yards, and a touchdown. But I think they're starting to get him more involved over the last couple of weeks. But I definitely want him. He is so cheap. He is 3,100.
Yeah.
Well, in that game environment.
He consistently gets like 3 or 4 targets, but they're like 20 yards to 30 yards down the field.
Yep. He's
So
a big play guy.
Play upside.
Definitely.
I mean, in week 4, he had a 4 for 95 and a touchdown. That's crazy, man. Like that's what I'm looking for, like a cheap play, just upside. And I think that game can actually be high scoring. I think we've been talking about the game all day.
Yep.
But it's one of the game for sure.
Yep. Tim, who you got for your stack?
Yeah, the other game we've been talking about, Mr. Don Julio himself, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Hayden Hurst, bring it back. If you don't want to play Hurst, you can play Fant. I don't know that I would roll 2 tight ends, but I definitely want one of those guys. I don't know that I really am interested in like Gage or OZ or somebody like that, so it'll probably be Ryan, Julio, Fant as my stack.
I like it. And as I mentioned, Gerson had my stack basically. I had Russell Wilson. I had DK or Lockett. So DK if you want the lower owned guy, Lockett if you want to go chalky, running back with Diggs. I think that's going to be a good stack. It's a high scoring game. You can't go wrong there. All right, it's time for the sick calls.
And now, the sick call of the week.
All right, Gerson, since you already gave yours away, go ahead and give us your sick call and talk about him a little bit.
Who, me?
Gerson, yeah.
I just talked about him.
Talk about him some more. Give us some more about him. David Moore.
Well, David Moore, I mean, it's against the Buffalo defense and not going to be covered by Tre'Davious White. He's 3,100. Going to be covered by Levi Wallace. I've never heard of a Levi Wallace, I'll tell you that much. But he's negative 9.19 in matchup rating. So, yeah, give me some David Moore. I mean, maybe I'm wrong here, but a lot of people have been talking about Will Disley. Is he a thing now?
He's always a thing. He's like one of those guys that come out of nowhere and just play well all of a sudden.
But I still think Should be a high scoring. I'm getting 29-point implied total for sure. Give me some different.
I almost had Will Disley as my sit call until I saw Olsen got a full practice in today.
Nice. Yeah, the guy that you have for your sit call, the whole time I'm doing my sheet, I've already had this in the back of my head, who my sit call is. And then I get down to the bottom where the sit call is, and like, God damn it, Tim, you already took on him. So go ahead and tell us who you got, Tim.
That's my boy, Quintez Cephas. It's Cephas season, y'all. He has been inactive for the last game, but I truly believe it's because he's in that Galladay role. And so as long as Galladay was active, they didn't need him. Marvin Hall helps out on special teams, which is why he got the run. But Cephas will be active, I expect, this week. I do expect him to take over that role. I don't know that he's going to have the 10-target game or whatever he had earlier in this year, but at 3K, stone minimum, Cephas season is on. I expect him to get at least 4 or 5 targets at 3K, and he always has that big play potential.
Yeah, I mentioned that on the season-long show that he was inactive last week only because he plays behind Galladay and does not play special teams where Marvin Hall does. So Marvin Hall got the run when Galladay got hurt. But Cephas is the backup for Galladay. I do think he gets in there. I think he had like 13 or 14 targets in those first 2 weeks. So yeah, I like Cephas as well. He's a big target in the red zone as well. All right, so my sick call, my backup sick call was the guy that I was hyping up in the offseason, and I kind of got him everywhere in my regular dynasty leagues. And then of course he got hurt after week 2, hasn't played since. But he is supposed to be coming off of IR. He's looked good in practice. Mr. Steven Sims Jr. at 3K. I just realized too that I've pretty much named a Washington football team in pretty much every position through the whole entire podcast.
Yeah, we're doing a show with Brian Clark.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why that happened, but it did. I guess because I live here in Washington, D.C., I hear their names constantly, so they're embedded into my brain. But I do like Steven Sims Jr. I think he's pretty electric player. I think that at 3K, he needs one big play to really pay off value. I love Cephas. He was the guy I would have gone with if I could have, but Tim took him first. So give me some Steven Sims Jr.
Holy shit, you really did. You named Gibson?
I had Gibson in there. I had F1 Terry McLaurin in there. I didn't talk about the quarterback or the tight end.
You have Gandy Golden in there at some point?
Yeah, no, he's on IR, so I didn't have Gandy Golden in there.
I can't believe he didn't name the second best player on that football team. It's called Logan Thomas. Shit.
Logan Thomas, yeah. All right, guys, that wraps the podcast up for the week. Let's go around the room really quick. Give us your Twitter handle and where we can find you on Facebook. Gerson.
The Fantasy G Pod on Twitter, and then you can find me on the Sunday Show. Please tune in on the Sunday Show because, and we didn't even talk about it, but if Ezekiel Elliott out and Tony Pollard third, yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, there's a lot of injuries that could still happen from here and on, and the Quintus Cephas news of what Tim just said, if he start, $3,000. But tune in on Sunday with me, Gladys, and
Hamid.
Hamid.
It's like Mohammed without the Mo. It's just Hamid. That's how I do it in my head. It's like Mohammed but without the Mo.
Yeah, well, I thought you had to say Tungaloa, so thank you.
Either way, be ready on Sunday morning. Have your swaps ready. Have your lineups ready.
Definitely, guys. Tim, where can we find you at?
Yeah, man, find me in the Fantasy G podcast, a.k.a. the DFS Roundtable. I forgot to shout out earlier in the show, my Roundtable Arena opponent this week is Taylor Robinson. So definitely go and vote on our lineups, and next week you could be in the Roundtable Arena. Good
stuff. As always, guys, you can find me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. I'm here every Wednesday and Friday nights. Don't forget to go to goingfor2.com/fight. Join our charity contest. It is free to join, guys. Donations are optional. For Gerson, for Tim, I'm Geoff. We will see y'all next week.